Welcome to another video on Patreon. This is Tim in Tokyo.
This is Paul in Hanover, New Hampshire, and this is Paul's Coffee, also in Hanover, New Hampshire, and now in Paul.
Yeah.
Coffee.
So, again, TV trivia. I set out today, okay, so I'm going to do some research about this topic because I was having a little trouble because, like, I feel like we've talked about Get Smart and, like, you know, Gilligan's Island
Mm-hmm.
and Green Acres, stuff that I've been watching lately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was
And a little
thinking of,
Star Trek from me, because I've been watching that pretty religiously lately, the original series.
yeah, I have too. But then I thought, well, I'd find some kind of a category like when I did firsts.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got pulled off on a different topic, which is kind of TV, Looney Tunes,
Ah,
or specifically certain Looney Tunes stuff.
well,
Um,
most American kids who were born after 1960 got all their Looney Tunes from television.
right.
So,
I can count on the fingers of one hand the time I saw a Looney Tune in a movie theater.
we did see some back in Centerville in the 70s.
Yeah, yeah, early 70s. I remember seeing a Roadrunner cartoon. I was like, wow, on the big screen.
Well, wow, indeed.
Anyway, so let's talk about Tweety Bird. Tweety
Okay.
was originally created by Bob Clampett as a pink
Hmm.
baby bird. When Fritz Freeling took over the character in 1945, Clampett left Warner Brothers.
Hmm.
Freeling made Tweety yellow. Why? A. Because the censors didn't like that Tweety looked naked. B. Because pink is a girl's color and Tweety is a boy. C. Because he looked too much like another studio's pink bird character. Or D. Because yellow was Freeling's favorite color.
Hmm. I was going to guess that it was because of a canary craze that was going on in the U.S. in the first half of the 20th century, which is true. In fact,
Hmm.
our father corroborated that for me a couple of weeks ago on the phone.
Hmm. Hmm.
There was
Interesting.
just a real canary, people were just freaking out over canaries. And then it became kind of a parakeet thing by the time my father, our father was growing up in the 40s.
Hmm.
Anyway, um, I'm going to go with the fear that the bird would look naked when he was pink.
You're right. Yes, the censors didn't like that he looked naked. He was kind of naked because he was a baby bird. He wasn't a
Sure.
canary yet.
Hmm. Hmm.
But oh, that pink skin, we might see something we're not supposed to see. So I
Or we might,
guess,
or we might expect that we're going to see something we didn't want to see,
yeah,
perhaps.
yeah. But it's 1945, and we're really conservative about bodies. So
Right.
color him a different color.
Yeah. So that didn't. No such censorship issues have stopped the Star Trek producers from dressing Leslie Parrish in pink in the Who Mourns for Adonis episode of Star Trek. Speaking of holy deja vu, Leslie Parrish played at least two separate female characters, at least one of whom was a Maul on the Batman show.
Hmm.
Anyway, Leslie Parrish was mostly naked in that episode. She's
Yeah,
just sort
she
of
was.
wrapped up in the pink thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
but that's not important right now. This is not about the dirty old man market. This is about Tweety Bird. So let's go.
Number two, Tweety was based on a character performed by which famous comedian? A. Sid Caesar. B. Lou Costello. C. Red Skelton. D. Joe Curly Joe DeRita.
Hmm. Whenever I think of Joe DeRita, I think of Joe DeRita of the Apes, the Drew and Josh Allen Friedman cartoon about Joe DeRita in the jungle, wearing a skin and completely, failing to be the king of the jungle. Um, Red Skelton?
That's
Just
right.
thinking about voices. Oh, no kidding. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
he was famous back then in the 40s for doing the character called Junior the Mean Whittle Kid.
Ah, yes.
And he
Vague
talked
memories of
just
this.
like Tweety Bird does. I listened to some of it on YouTube today. And it's kind of funny, but it's maybe funnier if you're in 1945.
And well, Red Skelton pretty much, ruled show business back then. We forget in the present just how important a figure he was on television, especially early TV.
Okay, number 3, related to Granny of Tweety and Sylvester fame. Which of the following women never voiced Granny?
Well,
A.
I know Junie Foray is
Yeah, June
definitely on the list
Foray.
of people who did.
B. Mae Questel. C. B. Benaderet. D. Actually, they all did.
I'm going to go with D. Actually, they all did.
No, actually, Mae Questel did not.
Okay, and who is Mae Questel?
Uh,
Name sounds very
she
familiar.
did the voices of Betty Boop and Olive Oil.
Okay.
I found on YouTube a clip from the Mike Douglas show from March 1978 where she was interviewed by Mike and guest co-host Joyce DeWitt. Dressed as about as 1978 as anybody could ever dress.
Boy. Yeah, I was going to say, I'll go look for that video on YouTube, and then I was afraid I might be like, I might have a heart attack just from the overdose of 1978.
I wouldn't mind going back to 1978, but
Well, maybe.
so in that interview, Mae Questel said that Betty Boop's face was actually a caricature of her own.
Oh,
And you could kind of see the resemblance even, decades later in 78.
interesting. So she was the original voice for Betty Boop.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, Betty Boop was a cartoon character, or a comic book, or a comic strip character first, or was she a cartoon character first?
I'm not sure about that.
I'm thinking the latter. I think she was in cartoons first. Well, anyway, interesting
Okay.
to speculate. Look
But
up.
she did not voice Granny. Benaderet voiced her from 1950 to 1955, and then June Foray took over and kept doing her all the way until her death in 2017.
Mm,
And currently, I don't know what cartoons they're making now with Granny in them, but a woman named Candy Milo is doing her voice now.
okay. There's plenty of Looney Tunes stuff circulating. I don't know if it's on Cartoon Network these days, but there's new material in the pipeline all the time.
Yeah, I've seen some of it on Cartoon Network here, which the programming on Cartoon Network here is somewhat different from the States. There's no Adult Swim.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think the humor would translate very
No.
well.
No, I can't imagine that it would. Okay, next. Which Warner Brothers cartoon was the first to win an Academy Award? A. Birds Anonymous, featuring Sylvester, Tweety, and Clarence Cat. B. Speedy Gonzales, his first appearance. C. Tweety Pie, the first cartoon to pair Tweety with Sylvester. Or D. Nighty Night Bugs, an Arthurian story in which Yosemite Sam plays the Black Knight.
Ooh, I hate that rabbit. Um, hmm. What was the name of the Tweety one?
Well, so A was Birds Anonymous, and
Okay.
Tweety's in that one, and C was Tweety Pie.
I'm going to go with Tweety Pie.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, all four of those won Academy Awards for what was then known as short subjects, cartoons. Now it's called Best Animated Short Film. But yeah, Tweety Pie was the first in 1947.
Okay.
Speedy Gonzales in 1955, Birds Anonymous in 57, and Nighty Night Bugs in 58.
Okay, and that would have been a Chuck Jones
Yeah.
Bugs,
Yeah,
right?
I watched it today on Daily Motion.
Excellent.
Nighty Night Bugs is the only Bugs Bunny cartoon to win an Oscar.
Huh. Interesting. I would have thought that What's Opera Doc or The Rabbit of Seville would have been way up there in the Academy's estimation.
Yeah, I don't know what was estimated and didn't get in, but
I wonder about Duck Amuck.
what did I say? Estimated? I mean
You did.
nominated.
Nominated, right? I wonder about Duck Amuck. I thought that was at least nominated for an Oscar. I'd be pretty shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Finally, in Nighty Night Bugs, Bugs has to get the singing sword back. I'm mispronouncing it myself. Singing sword back from the Black Knight. What musical instrument is used as the sound of the singing sword? A. Harp. B. Musical saw. C. Theremin. D. Flute.
musical saw. It's got to be.
Yep, that's right. Wow, I think you were 5 for 5. This, I think you missed the number 3, but you 4 for 5.
I missed the granny voice. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
because I wasn't familiar with the actors. But most of these cartoons are on eternal replay somewhere in the back of my head most of the time. Anyway,
So the saw is kind of difficult to tell apart from the theremin by sound. But the website sawnotes.com, which is a site for musical saw enthusiasts,
yes,
has
at last.
a short article about Nighty Night Bugs and says, quote, "You can hear the bowing sound on the saw, which in my opinion adds to the effect, making the saw seem more real and magical. It's not every day that you get to watch a cartoon that revolves around a musical saw."
And if you're a musical saw enthusiast, you've been waiting for that cartoon all your life. That's great. That's really great.
Yeah, so
Love
that
it.
was my confirmation that it was not a theremin. Because I looked on IMDb and there was nothing about it, and Wikipedia didn't say anything, so...
Yeah, and this is just good. This is just a riff on assumptions that one would make. It doesn't have anything empirical about it. It's all speculation. But I would imagine that musical saws were probably lying around all over the Merry Melodies studio. It would surprise me if those kinds of sound effects makers were always at hand. And a theremin would be a little more difficult to get one's hands on. But that's pretty great.
Okay, so yeah, what I had set out to do was I was thinking, maybe I'd do something about censorship. And I found an article about like things that you didn't used to be able to do on TV, and some of them were where everybody knows, like saying the word pregnant, or man and woman in the same bed, which we talked about already.
We've talked about.
And kind of obvious ones like that. But then it mentioned the Tweety looking naked, and I thought, maybe I'll look into this some more, and found a lot to put in the quiz in that area.
Excellent impulse. It would be fun to hear how some of our listeners, our patrons, how well they did in following along with the quiz. Just because I get this funny feeling that those of us who love Batman, even if it's just Batman 66, have a lot of cartoon knowledge under our belts as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. No one has seemed to comment on how they did on the quiz. So, yeah, let us know in the comments. What was your score?
Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard to stump me most weeks, but this week I feel like I really came out nearly on top. So,
Yeah, and if you have ideas for quiz questions, please post those in the comments too. Paul doesn't look at the comments, I don't think, so so I can appropriate them and use them in the future.
yeah, I have to admit I'm not even sure where the comments are. So maybe Tim can fill me in on that.
Do you know where Patreon is?
Haven't been there, so maybe that's the problem. What is this Patreon of which you speak? I donate money to our own cause via Patreon, but that's my only connection with it right now.
Yeah. Anyway, so thanks for watching, and we'll be back if I can think of more questions in a couple of weeks.
Well, one thing I want to say before we sign off is that if listeners have an idea for a theme for trivia, that's enough to get Tim or me
Well,
going.
that's true. Yes.
So you don't have to even send us any specific questions.
Yeah.
Just send us cartoon Looney Tunes of the 1940s and 50s. That would be the category for today.
Even if it's a show I've never watched, I can probably drum up some questions about it.
Right. Or we can cross-reference, actors who show up in shows that we haven't seen to series that we do know pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. So, see you later.
Bye.